Hi everyone, I thought it would be fun to do some spring gardening planning together, so today I'm going to go through some of my plans for 2025 and choose some seeds to start this month. If you're like me and you just have a regular backyard that you're trying to turn into your little dream garden, then you're in the right place. I'm not an expert gardener and half the time I don't even feel like I know what I'm doing. If that sounds good to you, then I'd love for you to join me on this journey. I'm in Portland, Oregon, and according to the Old Farmer's Almanac website, our last frost date is March 21st. I think that means I'm a little bit behind with my seeds, but I looked at where I started my seeds last year and it was March 2nd, which is actually weirdly the day that I'm filming this right now. I'm still waiting for my new grow lights to come in the mail, so I think I'll just be a little bit more behind this year. So for reference, my garden is in zone 8B. Previously, I think I've said a mix of different zones, but I was kind of confused trying to figure it out, and I actually think that it's 8B now. My garden has a little bit of a strange layout and I've divided it into 3 rooms, just like all of the TV gardeners are always talking about. Each of the rooms has its own microclimate, and because of trees and fences lining the property, I'm truly still figuring out what likes it where, even after 3 or 4 years of gardening. This right section is what I'm calling the hot garden. In general, it gets a tiny bit of morning sun and then really harsh midday and afternoon sun for about 5 to 6 hours. So things really need to be able to survive there. My inspiration for it has kind of been a Pete Oldoff natural garden look, but it's kind of gotten a little bit away from that. I don't think that I'll grow too much for this area this year, but I'll probably put any extra plants that I end up having over here. And then this left area is a small raised garden with a patio, and it gets a mix of morning sun and afternoon sun. This area kind of has a white and pink theme to it so far, but there's a lot of space that needs to be filled in still. I have a few ideas for annuals I want to try there this year, so I'm going to be keeping that in mind. And then this middle area is actually a pathway that's pretty long. Half of the pathway gets a few hours of morning sun from about 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in summer, and then the other half of the pathway gets harsher afternoon sun for about 3 to 4 hours. It can be a little tricky for plants, but this is really where I want to focus my seed starting efforts this year. Over the past few years, I've really started getting into cottage style gardening for this area, and I really want to keep going in that direction. I love how in cottage style gardening, the plants feel really crowded and a little bit messy, and I love having so many flowers in one space. So if we're thinking about this garden like a house with rooms, then this long walkway area would be kind of like an entryway or a hallway, since that's where you enter my garden from. Since it's the first thing that you see when you come into the garden, I want it to feel really warm and welcoming and set the tone for everything else. So here's what the color palette was last year. The main colors were yellow, magenta, pastel pink, pastel purple, and white. And then the accents were a blue, burgundy, and orange. So this year I want to shift the color scheme just a little bit. I have a big yellow dahlia that's on one side of the path, so I really want to try and tie that in a little bit better this year. I also felt like there was just a few too many cool tone colors, and so I want to try and bring some more warmth into the garden with warm tones. I want my color palette to be a little bit different this year, so I'm thinking for the main colors, I would do more yellow, magenta, peach, more burgundy, and then the accents would be blue, pink, pastel purple, and white. So I'm kind of just shifting a few things and not necessarily changing it too much. I think it'll help the area look just a little bit more balanced. When I was buying seeds for this, I focused on peach because I feel like that's a nice warm tone that could balance things out more. And then I also looked for a lot of burgundy flowers and plants so that I could have a little more contrast to the garden. Again, super similar to last year, but I think that this year's plan will make things just look a little bit more balanced. I also want to try and add more height to my garden, and I actually planted some seeds in fall last year, so I have a few plants that I think will be ready to plant out soon and help with that. So the first one is hollyhocks. I have these in peach, yellow, and burgundy, and I think those are going to be so fun in the garden. Next, I have delphiniums. I thought that these were blue, but they might actually be pink, so time is just gonna have to tell us on that one. I have columbine that I seeded from a plant that I already have, and I think that has yellow flowers. The next one is chamomile. I actually started these earlier this season, so I'm not sure how big they're gonna get. And then the last one is sweet peas. I planted these a few weeks ago, and they're just starting to come up. The seeds that I started were blue celeste, April in Paris, high scent, and royal lavender. Height can be a little bit of a struggle with annuals, so I have some other ideas like sweet pea trellises that will help me get there too. And then I also ordered some dahlia tubers from Eden Brothers. I think that I went a little bit overboard, but that's what makes gardening fun, right? The tubers I bought are Molly Raven, Sweet Sane, Eveline, and Joey Nicky. Joey Nicky and Sweet Sane are peach colored. Eveline is white with lavender edges, and Molly Raven is a beautiful burgundy color, so they should fit right in with my plan. Or at least that's what the colors should be. It feels like you never quite know what you're gonna get. Okay, so let's get into the seeds. I have about 165 spots for seeds this year. Last year I started my sweet pea seeds indoors, and so since those are outside right now, I have a lot more space to start other kinds of flowers. So I think I'm gonna choose about 15 to 20 different plants to start indoors, and my focus is gonna be mostly on annual flowers. I think that a lot of those flowers are gonna be cosmos based on how many seed packets of those I have, but let's check it out. So the first packet that I have on top is seeds for this heirloom Mina lobata exotic love vine. This I tried to grow last year. It didn't do that well. I think that it needed more sun and heat. I might try growing it again, but I'm gonna save that for last and see if I have space after I choose everything else. This next one is a nasturtium called Berry Vanilla. I think that I'm gonna grow this year, but I know that I have multiple of this kind of seed, so I'm just gonna set it aside. Here's another nasturtium. This one is Tip Top Alaska. So again, I think that I only wanna grow 1 or 2 varieties, so I'm just gonna set it aside for now. And then I have this Amaranthus Love Lies Bleeding Coral Fountain. This looks really cool. I haven't had the best luck with Amaranthus, but I definitely wanna try growing some, and it'll probably be this coral color because it's really pretty. I grew this last year and I definitely want to grow it again. This is Castor Bean Impala. These got pretty big and were really pretty. I think that they grow as an annual here, but I did leave a couple in the ground just to see. And then I'm starting to get into the cosmos. I have a bunch of different kinds, and I don't know if I'm going to grow all of them, but I might try. So this first one is called Rubenza. It looks like a beautiful burgundy red color, so that will go right into my plan. And then I had this in my garden last year, but I didn't grow it myself. So I bought the seeds to try it this year. And this is Candy Stripe Cosmos, which has a really pretty pinkish magenta edge to it. And then I have Marigold Kilimanjaro White. If you start this in spring, then I definitely want to start it this year. It looks like it's recommended 4 to 6 weeks before your average frost date, so I definitely want to try growing that this year. I bought a bunch of seeds from Eden Brothers this year, and so they don't have photos on the packet, but I will put a photo in so you can see what I'm talking about. This one is for Queen Anne's Lace, and this is a chocolate lace flower. I actually don't remember what this looks like, so I'll have to look up a picture anyway. And then more cosmos. This is Diablo. I grew this last year. It doesn't totally fit into the color scheme that I'm going for, but I might grow it anyway. And then I have basil. I think it's a little too early to grow basil, so I'm just gonna put that aside. Ooh, these are pretty. These are Cosmos Xanthos. I've never grown these. I'm not even sure I've seen these before, but they fit into the color scheme that I'm going for. They're really pretty buttercup yellow, so I'll probably grow those. And then I have another Amaranthus. This one is Love Lies Bleeding. Looks like some leftover seeds, so I'll insert a picture. And then I have Sulfur Cosmo Seeds Bright Lights. I think that these are the same as the orange Diablo ones that I was looking at. I think that they look really similar, but I'll have to look up a picture of this to make sure. I have another Cosmo here that I'm not sure what it looks like. This one's called Exena. So I'm curious to see that photo, and I will probably grow it, let's be honest. Another Cosmo, this one is Double Click White Knight. White was not really huge in my plan, but I do think that I want to grow these for the patio garden that I have. So I'm definitely going to keep those on the list. These are Mahogany Splendor Hibiscus. I grew quite a few of these last year, and I've grown them the last 2 years. This year I actually left a bunch of them in the ground because I'm not sure if they'll grow back or not. I know in some climates they can be annuals, but we don't really have crazy weather here, so it seems like they would come back maybe. I haven't decided if I'm gonna grow more this year. They're really pretty though, and they definitely added to the burgundy color. I think we'll see how much room I have. And then these are Nigella hispanica, passion flower-like purple blooms. That sounds like it's gonna fit right in. I don't know that I need to actually start these seeds. I might sprinkle them around the garden or start them a little bit later in the season. Another Cosmo. I don't even know if this has seeds in it. Okay, there's like 6 seeds in here. This is Cosmo apricota. I grew these last year and they kind of fall into that peach pink color. So if I have more of these seeds, then I'm definitely gonna grow them. Another Cosmo. Wow, I do have a lot of seed packets. So this is Sensation Mix from Territorial Seed Company. It looks like it's a bunch of pinks and purples and some burgundy in there, which sounds really nice, and I will probably grow that too. This is white bishop's lace. I grew this last year. It wasn't totally successful. I haven't decided if I'm gonna try again this year. And I do have the chocolate Queen Anne's lace, so I might try that instead. More Cosmo Diablo. I have a lot of these considering it's not even in the color palette that I'm going for. So we'll see. These are Cosmo Cupcake White. I don't think that I've grown these before. I maybe did last year, I can't remember. I know that I did those other white Cosmos. I'm just gonna put these over with the other Cosmos. And then I have Mexican Sunflower Torch. These are a pretty orange color. I grew these last year. They did okay. There wasn't enough sun and heat for them, I don't think. And then also they're kind of the wrong color for my scheme I'm going for. I might try and grow them for a different area in the garden, maybe just grow only a couple seeds. I do like them. I think they're really pretty and nice in arrangements if they grow big enough in your area. And then I have more Amaranthus. These say that they're hoppy red dye. I think that I grew these last year. These ones say that they're salad greens. I can't remember if I grew these or if I only grew the Love Lies Bleeding. So that's a maybe. Wow, so I do have a lot of Cosmo seeds, and I actually have way less other kinds of seeds than I thought I would. So I'm gonna go through and pick the ones that I definitely wanna grow this year and then see how many spots there are left to fill in. So in the white category, which I think will be mostly focused in my patio garden, and then I might put some of these in the pathway, I have some Cosmos. I have 2 different Cosmos that are white. I have a white marigold and a creamy yellowy white nasturtium. And then in the peach category, I don't have too many things. I might try and find more of this Cosmo apricota, but I have about 8 seeds left in there, so I'm gonna try and grow those. And then I also have an Amaranthus Coral Fountain. And then in the pink magenta category, I have 3 different Cosmos. I have the Exena Candy Stripe and the Sensation Mix that kind of has a little bit of purples and burgundies in it too, but it looks to be mostly pink to me, we'll see. And then the burgundy category actually got pretty big here, which I think is gonna be really nice. I have Nigella hispanica, this hoppy red dye Amaranthus, Queen Anne's lace in chocolate lace, which I think will look a little bit more burgundy than brown, and then Mahogany Splendor. Still not sure if I'm gonna grow these or not. I'll probably end up growing a few. And then I have the Castor Bean, which I really loved last year, and Cosmos Rubenza, which I've never grown, but these look really pretty. And then in the yellow category, I only have one thing, and that is Cosmos Xanthos. These are really beautiful buttercup yellow. I'm gonna try and grow a lot of these, so I think that that will help the yellow category. And then I also have those yellow hollyhocks and columbines as well, so I think that'll fill out the yellows nicely. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you liked it, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.